So Spider-Man comes out in the next week. It's literally almost here. It's so damn close. And honestly, I've been thinking about how it can change the gaming landscape for superheroes. And if this is a success, like let's be honest here, if this is like one of the best-selling games of 2018, there's going to be some changes in the superhero gaming world. Like, let's be honest. I know that the Arkham games, in a way, paved the way for this game.
I remember I would sit there, when a new Arkham game would come out, I go, oh man, like that Marvel version of Arkham, right? And a couple of years later, boom, we're being asked to make Spider-Man. And I was like, I don't know, it's fate or whatever, but it was just like
for it to be like a crazy success, because most Spider-Man games and most Batman games, like a majority of their games are pretty bad, pretty garbage actually. Like besides the Arkham games and besides Spider-Man 2 and to an extent Web of Shadows, but then again it's really cheesy. It's really cheesy. I would think that the only good games that they have right now are the Arkham games and, of course, the Spider-Man PS4 game coming out. But that's it. We only have Batman and we have Spider-Man. And if this game is a success, I feel like fans of not only Marvel but also DC are going to be asking for more superhero games. We want something. We want a world where superhero games are just everywhere. We want that. We don't want it to be like, the same game over and over and over again, like Arkham, or Spider-Man. But like, we want some Flash games. We want Daredevil games. We want, I think Insomniac hears that too. I think Insomniac understands that we want this gaming universe just as much as they do. And unfortunately, Rocksteady and WB Montreal, they dropped the ball. They were just so set and so dead focused on doing Arkham that they didn't really look at their grand universe, when in reality, if they started from Arkham City and started looking at their universe from there, they could have made at least 5 games in a universe that would have blown Marvel away. All right, I'm just saying that right now. If DC had the right leadership in gaming department, we could have had like a Flash game, a Green Arrow game, Superman game, Batman game, and a Justice League game all in like the last 10 years. But unfortunately, there was no leadership there. But Insomniac has Sony. And right now, Insomniac is trying to make their best game ever, trying to make the best Spider-Man game ever. And if that's the case, then there can be a future where this happens, where, of course, if this game's successful and Sony sees this and Marvel sees it and Insomniac sees it, they're going to be like, hey, we can make a sequel to this. We can build off of the world that we already built. We already know that Daredevil and the Avengers exist. And if they want to completely change up the mythos of those characters like they did with Spider-Man, then that can be a thing that can be done. Same thing with, of course, Rocksteady or WB Montreal or whatever gaming studio wants to take on a property from DC or Marvel. It can completely change the way we look at superhero video games going forward. And all it takes is for Insomniac to say, we're making some other superhero game. And I think that if they say that, if they do that, WB and Rocksteady and DC, they're going to get off their asses and do something. They need to at least focus on other characters besides Batman. Because as much as we love Batman, as much as we love Spider-Man, we have to admit that there is there's just too many of those video games in there. There's too many of their games. We don't get to see other heroes. And if this game is a success with such a large universe, I feel like Insomniac is going to push that even further in the future with Sony and make even more hero games that are completely different from Spider-Man. Like, of course, like I've been saying for the last couple of months, a Daredevil game, or they can do an Avengers game, which I doubt they're going to do an Avengers game, but something along that line of a universe built within the Spider-Man PS4 world. And again, I just don't understand why they're not following the movies in terms of this formula, where they're building up a universe that gets a bunch of people interested in it, and then you grip them with more and more and more. It's something that could have worked for this gaming world, but unfortunately, nobody took advantage of it. And I feel like if they're going to keep going forward with this, they can't make the mistake that DC did and completely forget about their other characters. They need to continue going forward with Spider-Man, and then they need to move on with other heroes as well. And I feel like we're going to get another sequel. We're going to get a sequel to the Spider-Man game, and then they're going to flesh out the world even more. And in a sequel, they could introduce even more heroes if they really, really wanted to. I feel like it would be too convenient for none of the heroes to ever show up, like in 2 games in a row. Like, it would be kind of weird, but at the same time, it would be whatever. You know, I still feel like Insomniac is trying to build up that world, and if this game sells, they're going to expand upon that world with even more games that are set in this universe. And if that happens, then of course DC is going to be like, God damn it, we were too late again, and they're going to play catch up and give us even more games. Again, this game can change a lot of things in the gaming universe, in the gaming world, in the gaming community, and even in the DC and Marvel community. If this happens, there needs to be someone in charge that knows how to lead it in the right path, and I feel like that's what's going to happen within the next few months or even within the next few years. Like, if we don't get something from DC within, of course, by December, by the Video Game Awards, I feel like we're going to be getting more of Marvel stuff than usual, because they're going to see that opportunity to overthrow DC in the video game department and completely wipe them out. And DC's going to see that, and they're going to start panicking, and they're going to start doing what they did with the movies and make a shit ton of video games that aren't the best, but they're still going to pump them out. Either way, I really hope that this game changes a lot about what we see in video games in terms of Spider-Man and Batman and DC and Marvel, because I do want to see more. I want to see what else Insomniac can bring, what else Rocksteady and WB Montreal can bring, and what else other gaming developers can do after they see how good this game does and how good this game is. If this game is, of course, successful and great, then there's no way developers are not going to put their hand in the hat and try to draw a name and just work with it. So either way, I really can't wait for this. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.